switching gears a little bit, Neal, you had a very relevant article on deficit spending. Your thoughts on the stimulus package and what that means for investors. A lot of great content there to unpack. Would love for you to just give you your thoughts, kind of almost on that State of the Union around that 4 million. We have a four. I'm
Trillion.
going to miss the number here, but
Hmm?
is it we're over 4 trillion now for the stimulus package?
Trillion. Yeah, 4 trillion.
All right. So what does that do to us as an economy? What are your thoughts there? And as an investor, why should I care?
Well, you really have to care because I tell people we are so fixated with whether Biden's going to win or Trump's going to win. My feedback is it doesn't matter. The US economy since 2008 is entirely run by the Federal Reserve of the United States. When the Fed says they're going to tighten, the stock market crashes, sometimes crashes within a day. When the Fed says encouraging things, the stock market hits all-time highs. Well, I mean, the president says encouraging things. I don't see the stock market moving 1,000 points based on what Trump tweeted today. So bottom line is our economy is run by the Federal Reserve of the United States, which is an independent organization. And you've noticed Trump rants about, do this, do that, and they just ignore him because their charter is that they do not report to any branch of the government. So because they're a quasi, private organization. And bottom line is that you have to care about this because this is the 800-pound gorilla in the room. This is what's creating the all ships rising effect that we saw pre-COVID. And this is definitely what has created an all ships rising effect post-COVID. How is it that we've gone from 3.8% unemployment to as high as 13%, probably more like 10% today? We've seen an incredible destruction in demand. The world economy is in recession. We've never had an instance in modern history where 200 countries went into recession at the same time, right? I mean, look at 2008. I mean, there were Asian economies that were growing at 5% when we were in recession. Bottom line is, this is a unprecedented event. But did you know that today, and we're having this conversation at the beginning of September, most single family real estate in the United States is ultra hot. I mean, it's super hot right now, and prices are going up, and homes are not staying on the market long enough, right? So we've seen homes, it's the buying activity speed up, and a lot of people are like, this doesn't make any sense. I mean, there's so many people laid off, right? I mean, huge numbers of people laid off. How could prices go up? Well, firstly, it's because the Fed dropped interest rates to just a stunningly low level, right? I mean, you're adjusted for inflation, you're paying nothing when you buy a house. Nothing. You're receiving interest for 30 years for free. Anyone that understands macroeconomics should get that, right? When you rent, you buy a home today, you pay 3% or whatever, 2.75%. You're essentially getting it for free. You're not paying any interest because that's just inflation, right? So there's no value that people are getting out of this. And that makes an enormous difference to everything that is happening around the US. It buoys up the real estate market, but it comes at a cost. And that cost is the cost of our future. So what my generation has done, I'm 48 years old. What my generation has done is we've basically taken the growth of our children's future and we have pulled it here, right? So we pulled it to our time just to make ourselves comfortable. And now we have a future that is so incredibly indebted that growth is slowing throughout the world. It's slowing in the US, it's slowing throughout the world. So at some point, there's going to be a reckoning. When's that going to happen? I don't know. Could be 5 years from now, could be 15 years from now. But to me, when I do the math on how our exponential debt curve is increasing, I think it'll be sooner than 15 years. Because if it continues to increase at an exponential level, in 15 years, our debt for the US is not going to be 27 trillion, it's going to be 200 trillion. So we won't even be able to pay the interest back. So I think that the reckoning comes at some point. So having said that, for a moment, okay, fine, that's going to, obviously be a catastrophic event with some kind of a worldwide crash. Having said that, its short-term impact is it's pushing real estate prices up. It's pushing asset prices up. Everyone on this, podcast probably thinks that real estate prices are too high. They're not. They're too low. And people are like, what does that mean? How can prices be too low? They've gone up like 50% from 2008, 2009. Well, the answer is this. Yields for everything else have gone down so much that real estate today produces a bigger risk premium than it did 20 years ago. Let me explain that, right? So let me give you an extreme example. So this is an extreme example. In the 1980s, you could basically buy a 10-year treasury bond and make 12%. And that was a risk-free money. You were taking no risk, you were making 12%. Real estate back then made something like 18%. So your return on investment on real estate was 18. So the risk premium was 18 minus 12, 6. You're making 6% more for taking all the risk that comes with real estate. Well, today, right, as time has gone down, today, US treasuries only make about 0.7%. Remember that 15% number in the 80s? It's now down to less than 1%. So today, when you add a risk premium of 6% on top of that 0.7%, you end up with 6.7. And most real estate investments make a lot more than 6.7. When you understand that, you realize that real estate today is actually cheaper than it has been in the past, because you always add just a 5 or 6% risk premium before everybody jumps in and starts buying assets. So the future of real estate is it gets more expensive from here. And anyone who thinks that real estate cannot get more expensive, please spend 30 minutes on the web reviewing real estate prices in Singapore, Sweden, UK, Canada, Hong Kong, and you'll immediately realize just how cheap real estate is in the US compared to other assets and asset classes. And that's the part that people don't understand. Our destiny in real estate is now being driven by a bunch of shadowy bankers sitting there and playing a game of monopoly with interest rates.